Okay, I want to demo some concepts for Price Chapter 3. I opened up a blank map, and I'm going to right click on the layers properties and take a look at the projection. And there are no data layers in the table of contents, and so there is no projection set. So when you open up a blank map, there's no projection identified. A projection will be set by the first data layer that you add into, let me go back here, the first data layer you add, so I'm going to add the counties, world counties data layer. So here's the world counties, and if I look at the counties properties, the source tells me that the projection is North American equidistance. So that was the first data layer that I added, and so my data frame will also have that projection. Okay, so what I can do with ArcMap is I can reproject data on the fly. But first, let's add another layer that has a different projection. So I'm going to go into Oregon, and I'm going to add the Oregon County layer. And there it is, and it lines up very nicely, so I'm just going to put this over here like that. So there's the Oregon County layer, and I'm going to add a new data frame, insert data frame, and if I look at this data frame, there's no projection for that data frame. The Oregon County layers, the projection for that is Oregon statewide Lambert. So I'm going to move a copy of that layer into my new data frame and look at the data frame again, and now it has taken on the projection of the Oregon Lambert. So if I go to Layout View, I can look at both of these maps. So here is, this is how Oregon is projected on the fly to fit the Albers projection. So this is the same data layer. The data frame here is set for Albers equal area. I'm just going to call that Albers. And the data frame here is Lambert conformal conic. And this is Oregon, and the projection for Oregon is Lambert. And the projection for the U.S. counties is Albers. So I'm going to remove that, and that will actually keep that original projection, so it just holds whatever I put in there. So I'm going to make another copy. Okay, so what happens is the computer knows that I probably intend to have these layers align, and so it will make the necessary adjustments to take this Oregon Lambert projection and tweak it and skew it so that it will fit correctly with the Albers projection. I can also take, so let's zoom this one to the extent. Oh, that's too big. Let's go. There we go. So there's kind of Oregon on the counties. And if let me just go to properties. And I'm going to set that line to have no color. Okay, so there we go. That just helps me see all of the states. So I can see Oregon on top of that. I'm going to add Oregon down here, or add the U.S. down here. And that layer also will be transformed or projected on the fly to fit the projection of the data frame. So here we go. All right. So I have not changed the projection for any of these data layers. These data layers have the original projection that they were created with, but each of these have adjusted to the projection on the fly for the data frame. Now, let's say for some odd unknown reason I want the US data to actually be in a Lambert projection. Okay, there are a couple ways to do that. One is through the toolbox, and there's a data management tool that allows me to reproject, and sometimes when I'm running the video files that tool doesn't work very well. There it is. So I can go into data management, projections. I can take a feature, which this is, and I can run the projection tool. And so let's just say I want to take that Oregon Lambert, and I want to change the projection to a new type. So I'm going to go in here and select we're in zone 10. I'm just going to set it to that projection. Okay, and I'm going to name it zone 10. And sometimes I need to set a transformation, but I think I'm going to leave that and see if it'll work without that. So I have to set the transformation. Oh, and that's the datum. Let's try that one. There we go. No. So I had to change the output because I was having some transformation problems. Anyway, so let's say I want to go from Oregon statewide Lambert to the North American Albers. That one doesn't ask me to do a transformation. So what I have to do is I'm going to create a new file that is called Orzone 10, and actually I want to create it on the desktop. There we go. So it's just going to put it on the desktop as a shapefile. Okay, and so the tool will run and create that new file. Oops. Okay, so the projection is done, and if I go to my desktop, which is quite a mess, I'm going to find that Orzone shapefile, and there it is. And this is actually, I want to put it in here. There it is. So I created a file that now is the same projection as the continental US. Another way to create a projected file is to export the data and say choose data frame. I want you to use whatever this data frame is to create a new file, and I'm going to put that on the desktop again, and we'll call it 2. Alright, so there's two ways to reproject your data. And now if I look at this one, that now has a reprojected data file. So projecting data on the fly doesn't create a new copy of the data. It just moves it to fit the way I want the data to fit. One of the things that you'll work through in Price is she'll have you use the spline tool to add some data, and she makes sure that you're in the layout view when you do the spline tool. But basically I'm going to zoom in here, and let's say I want to write Pacific Ocean, so you can add the drawing tool here. So I'm going to add the drawing tool, go to the letter A, choose spline, and wherever I start clicking my line, that is where I will start writing. And so I'm going to go type in Pacific Ocean, and there's my text that kind of follows whatever the line is. The other tool you have to be in data view to use, and that is the label tool. So if I click on the label tool and then click on one of the counties, I can label whatever I click on. So that must be, now let's go back and put the county lines back in this. There we go. Whoops. There we go. So if I click here, I get Elko County. So maybe there's just a couple counties I want to use. The nice thing is that these labels can be moved when I've used that label maker. If I just turn on labels here, label features, I can't move these labels. These are not objects that I can change. So sometimes being able to label things individually, and so Price will work on that with you. Now when I go back here, I'll be able to see Pacific Ocean again. So basically she's going to take you through the layout and working through really nice design. So I'll leave you with one last bit on this lab. Nope, sorry. I'll go back into my data. So on Moodle, I've got some just help steps. Steps 16 to 27, you may need to do that a few times, and make sure if you have to start over, you start with a new copy of MXD3A. So you follow that pretty closely and it should work. I think most people in class were having not any trouble with that. I want you to turn in a general layout. I gave you an example of what mine looked like. Feel free to make some minor adjustments. And then in the review questions, the only change for that is question 7. I want you to answer these instead of the questions she has for 7. And then the exercises, please do both the map and the challenge. And the tutorial's a little longer, so that's, you don't have to turn that in until after class on Thursday. And the Price exercises then again on Tuesday. Okie doke. Now if I can turn this off, we'll be in good shape.